Hello and welcome to another Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how to make an advanced sprinting system. However, it'll be pretty easy to set up, but it'll have more functionality than what other people would teach you. As well as the sprinting system, I'll be showing you how to set up the mana system next to the health bar so that you can run out of mana and then stop sprinting, and then once that stops it'll start going up again. If you've been following along with the series, you may notice that the level looks a little different. It's nothing to worry about. All I did was some level design. And if you want to download the project file, you can get it on my Patreon in the link down below. So make sure to go check that out. I also have a bunch of other project files you can download. So the first thing we want to do is in our content browser, we want to go to our third person, our blueprints, and then open up the third person character. I made a test character just to test out the sprinting system, but you just want to open up the main regular third-person character. And then we want to go to Content, UI, and then HUD. And then the last one that we want to open, Content, third-person, Input, MC Default, and then Actions. And then take any one of these, copy and paste it, F2, and then backspace. And then we're going to replace that with Sprint. So IA Sprint, and then IMC Default, add a pin, and then select the Sprint. And I'm going to do the left shift. So next, in the third person character, we're going to come over here and add some variables. The first one, we want to do mana, and I'm going to switch that to an integer, and then we're going to add another one. I'm going to call it max mana, and then compile, and I'm going to make both of these 100, and then I want to make another variable, and I'm going to call it sprinting question mark, and then I'm going to make that a boolean, and then I'll add another one, and I'll do can sprint, and then one more, and we'll call this can mana regen. And then by default, we don't want to be regenning. That's only if we lose mana. And then can sprint, we want to set that to true because we should be able to sprint by default. And then is sprinting false because by default we currently won't be sprinting. Next, we want to get the sprinting input. I'm going to right click, do IA, sprinting, and then you want to do the enhanced action. So we'll do that, and then I'll click the drop down to open that up. Next thing we want to do is hold down B and click. That way we get a branch. And then I want to get the can sprint, drag it into there. And then off of completed, that's basically releasing. So this is pressing down, and then this is releasing the shift key. So can mana regen. And if we want to do that once we're done, because after we're done sprinting, or we take off our hand from the shift key, we want to bring that mana back. And then we also want to set mana regen to false up here. And then sprinting, we're going to set that to true because now we will be sprinting. And then down here, I want to set sprinting to false because now we're not sprinting. And then I want to create a custom event. So just type in custom event, and then I'm going to call this stop sprint. And then I'm going to plug it into this one. And with all of this, it's important that you do it in the exact same order that I do it. Otherwise, it might not work. After this, we want to come up here, drag off, and get the character movement. Then I want to set max walk speed, and I'll plug that in. And if you ever want to change the walk speed, then you click on character movement, go to character movement walking, and then down here you'll see max walk speed. And if I change it to like 1,000, then you can see that I'm going pretty fast. So I'm going to bring that back down to 500. So once we're done sprinting, we want to change the speed back to 500, and then we'll copy and paste this, and then set the sprinting speed. So for sprinting, I'm going to go faster, so we'll do like 800, and then I'll hold D and then click to get a delay. And for the delay time, I'm going to do 0.05, and why we need this delay is because every time we hold down the shift key, it's going to keep running this like an event tick. And I'll show you this with a print string. And for this one, I'll type 1, and then I'm going to copy and paste this. And the other one that you could do is started, and I'm going to do 2. So when I hold shift, you can see that it does the 2 one time, but it keeps doing the 1, so it's on an event tick. So that way we can just keep taking away the mana after this because it just loops. So next after this, you want to hold down S and then click to get a sequence. Then you want to hold down B for branch, and then we want to check if the mana is equal to 0. So drag off of there, type equals, and then mana, drag it into the top, and then we'll leave it as 0 because we want to check if the mana is 0. Then after this, we want to set can sprint to false, and then we want to set can mana regen to true. And then after this, we'll call the stop sprint that we created earlier. So that way it'll just stop the sprinting. And then off of stop sprint, we want to update health bar. I'm going to come in here though in the functions, and I'm going to change this to update HUD because we'll be changing the HUD as well, and we might be changing other HUD related things as well. So next, off of here, we want to hold down B for branch, and then hold down B again, and then we're going to plug this in and get the character movement, and then get is falling, and then we want to get a not bool, so that'll just reverse it, and then off of true we're going to plug that in there, and then off of here we want to get a greater, and then we want to get the character movement again, get the velocity, so we want to get velocity, and then we want to vector length XY, and this is what we do in the animation blueprint to get the speed. So what I want to do is make sure that we're under or over 600, and then if it's true we want to stop sprint, and then I want to set the mana, and then I want to drag off, subtract, and then plug that into the other end, and what we're going to subtract is by 1, and then we'll just plug this in here to update the mana bar. So what we're doing here is we don't want the mana to decrease if we are jumping or if we're under 600, because otherwise you can see when I turn around, or right here, I'm holding down the shift button but I'm not sprinting, and that would just be a waste of mana. So just to make it better, you can only sprint when you're actually sprinting, not when you're jumping, not when you're doing this, even though I'm holding down shift, otherwise it would be taking away the mana. This way it's just more efficient and fluid and better for the players. So next we want to make some changes to the HUD. Right now it's only taking the health, but we're going to click on that to go to our HUD, and I'm just going to delete that, and then in here I'm going to rename that to update HUD. So we're updating HUD, and then I want to click on that again, and then I want to add some pins, make it an integer, so I want to do mana, add it again, and then I want to do max mana. Next I'm going to select all of this, copy, and then paste, and we'll use that for the mana later, but select that again, right click, and then collapse the function, and then I'll click to get rid of that, and then back in here I'm going to delete that top one, and then call this one health, and then max health. So make sure those are plugged in correctly, and then rename the new function to update health bar. So click on that, and then in here you can see that we have the values, so we can plug that in. And then also I found a way to fix the bug where if you look down at the health bar, if you walk through, it's kind of janky, it like moves back and forth, and then also when it's below 5 it's also janky. So I found a way to fix that. So before this I want to create a variable. I'm going to get health, promote to local variable, call it health. I'm going to call it health amount, and then I'm going to get this stuff over here and drag it, and I can delete that, and then plug this in here to get the health, and then off of here I want to promote to local variable, and then I'm going to call this health text, and then we can set that as well, and then make sure to plug these in and plug that into there. And then after this we just want to hold down B for branch, get a greater or equal, and then we want to get that health amount, and then greater than 100, and then copy this, plug it into false, change this to 10, and then I want to get the health text, and then set the text, and that's going to be the health text. So then I'll plug that in there, and then I want to copy this and then plug it in up here, and if it's over 10 we want to add some spaces. So I'm going to alt click to get the health text, and then I'm going to right click, append, and then until you see string, and plug that in and it will convert it. And then in here you just want to hit the spacebar 2 times. You can't see anything, but there's now 2 spaces in here, and then plug this into here, it'll convert it. And then we want to copy this, paste it, and we'll put it right there, and then make sure to delete all the spaces in here, and then I'll give it 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, so 4 spaces if it's under 10. So now it should be less janky than before. So now we'll set up the mana system, and we can just delete this. All we need is this, and then I'm going to plug in the mana and the max mana, and then I'll select everything, collapse the function, and call it update mana bar, and then I'll just plug it in right here, And then I'm going to scroll down and rename these to mana and max mana. So then I'll open this up, and then we'll need to change out the health bar to mana bar. So we'll go to the designer and then progress bar, and then I'm just going to scale this to be pretty close to the same size as the health bar. And then in progress, I'm going to change the percent. I'm actually just going to keep it like this as the blue color. If you want to change it, you can change this. You can reset the values and then go to style, fill image, and then change it to a blue color. Either way, it'll be the same. And also by default, you want to set the percent to 1, that way it'll be full. And then with the progress bar selected, I'm going to rename it to mana progress bar. And then in the event graph, you'll see it's right here. And then I'll just drag it over the mana progress bar. Next, we're going to go back to the third person character in the update HUD, and we just want to drag in the mana and then also the max mana. So next, I'm just going to comment all of this in the event graph, C, and then sprint. Next, I'm going to create a custom event and call it mana regen. And then I want to get a 0.2 delay, get a branch, and then I want to check can mana regen. If it's true, I want to do another branch, and then equals. And then I want to check if the mana is already full. So in here, I'm going to get the max mana. Right now it's 100. So if the mana equals 100, then we don't want to do anything. So next, I'm going to set the mana, and then I'm going to plug it into there, and then set that to 1. And then after this, you want to update the HUD. So next, you just want to select this, and then call it mana regen. And then to make this work, we need to come up here, get event tick, and then we will call the mana regen. And then one thing we need to fix is in the sprint, change the sprinting to true, and then the can sprint, we need to change that to sprinting, but false. And then one more bug fix is when you sprint and you go all the way to 0, the mana will go up, but it won't let you sprint. And that's because we need to enable sprinting after we have more mana. So in the mana regen, I disconnected the update HUD, and then hold down B and plug that in. And then off of here, you want to get greater and then get the mana. And I'm going to let them sprint if the mana is over 10. So I'm going to type 10. And then on true, I'm going to set can sprint to true, plug that in. And then also off of false, I'm going to update the health, because even if it is below 10, I still want to be updating the HUD. And then you can just double click to add reroute nodes. So now if I go to 0, the HUD goes back up and I can continue to sprint. But I can't do it if it's not over 10. And you can change that to any other number, like you could do 60, and then you wouldn't be able to sprint until you've gotten to 60 mana. Next, in the mana regen, I want to drag this stuff over here, and then can sprint. I'm going to plug that in there, and I'm going to set it to false. So that way I won't be able to sprint until I've reached the 60 mana. I'm going to turn that down to like 15. I think 60 is too high. And you can set the speeds of how fast it goes. So if I did the duration of 1, you can see that it's going down very slowly and it will last a lot longer. You can also change the mana regen. You can give it like a 0.01. So that way it regens very fast. I'm just going to do 0.2 for now. And then off the branch over here, you want to copy and paste can sprint, and then set that to true. Because if it does equal the max amount, then we want to be able to sprint. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. In the next video, I'll show you how to make a coin pickup system, and probably the one after that, I'll do a mini map or either a health potion, either one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.